Beneath the endless stars, there lies a tale older than time itself. It whispers of a flame that never fades, glowing through the ages. A flame not of destruction, but of guidance, warmth, and wisdom. They called it the eternal fire, bound to the spirit of a goddess. Her name was Athena, daughter of wisdom, guardian of light eternal. In her hands, she bore a spear that shimmered with radiant fire. The spear was not forged for battle, but to shine truth upon darkness. It carried courage, clarity, and the power to unite wandering souls. Legends say when the world trembled, Athena appeared with her flame, not to conquer, but to remind humanity of strength deep within. Her flame became a beacon for sailors, dreamers, and seekers of hope. Through temples, stories, and whispers, her light guided countless hearts. Yet the flame was never truly hers. It belonged to all who listened, to every soul that sought truth, compassion, and unshaken wisdom. This is the story of the eternal spear flame goddess Athena, a journey of fire eternal, carried not in war, but in love. A story that burns within us, waiting to be remembered again. The night sky stretched endlessly, filled with constellations shimmering like ancient memories. Each star seemed to hum softly, carrying whispers from a forgotten age. Among those whispers lived the story of a flame older than mankind. A flame that burned without wood, without oil, without mortal fuel. They called it eternal, because nothing could quench its luminous breath. Legends say this flame was entrusted to a goddess at her birth. Her name was Athena, born not of mortal womb, but divine wisdom. She emerged radiant, her eyes reflecting clarity beyond the mortal mind. But unlike other gods, her gift was not thunder, sea, or storm. She was given the eternal flame, a light that spoke of truth. In her hands appeared a spear, glowing with that sacred fire. It was no weapon of conquest, but a torch of enlightenment. The spear glowed not with heat to burn, but warmth to heal. It became a guide for those lost in shadow, doubt, and despair. Wherever its light touched, hearts softened and courage was renewed. The ancients told how Athena walked among their cities in silence. She came not as ruler, nor as conqueror, but as guardian. When fear threatened to divide them, she carried her spear high. Its flame reflected in marble temples, olive groves, and quiet waters. Children looked upon it and felt safe, even in endless night. Elders saw it and remembered wisdom beyond their fleeting years. The flame's glow became a thread weaving through their daily lives. Every festival, every gathering, every whispered prayer held its spark. But as centuries passed, people began to forget its true meaning. They saw the flame as power rather than wisdom to share. Some believed it was strength to command. Others thought it conquest. Athena grieved, for the flame was never meant to dominate. Still, she did not withdraw, for her vow was unbroken. She wandered beneath stars, reminding mortals through quiet gestures. A dream here, a vision there, a sudden spark of clarity. The eternal flame whispered through poets, philosophers, and wandering seekers. Those who listened felt a warmth deep in their souls. They understood the flame was not outside, but within them. Athena's spear only mirrored the light they already carried. Her greatest gift was to awaken what was already eternal. And so the story of the flame passed from age to age. It lived not in temples of stone, but in human spirit. Every time kindness bloomed, the flame burned brighter. Every time wisdom prevailed, the spear glowed again in silence. And though centuries changed, Athena remained, walking unseen. still carrying the flame, still guarding its promise across eternity. The night sky stretched endlessly, filled with constellations shimmering like ancient memories. Each star seemed to hum softly, carrying whispers from a forgotten age. Among those whispers lived the story of a flame older than mankind. A flame that burned without wood, without oil, without mortal fuel. They called it eternal, because nothing could quench its luminous breath. Legends say this flame was entrusted to a goddess at her birth. Her name was Athena, born not of mortal womb, but divine wisdom. She emerged radiant, her eyes reflecting clarity beyond the mortal mind. But unlike other gods, her gift was not thunder, sea, or storm. She was given the eternal flame, a light that spoke of truth. In her hands appeared a spear, glowing with that sacred fire. It was no weapon of conquest, but a torch of enlightenment. The spear glowed not with heat to burn, but warmth to heal. It became a guide for those lost in shadow, doubt, and despair. Wherever its light touched, hearts softened and courage was renewed. The ancients told how Athena walked among their cities in silence. She came not as ruler, nor as conqueror, but as guardian. When fear threatened to divide them, she carried her spear high. Its flame reflected in marble temples, olive groves, and quiet waters. Children looked upon it and felt safe, even in endless night. Elders saw it and remembered wisdom beyond their fleeting years. The flame's glow became a thread weaving through their daily lives. Every festival, every gathering, every whispered prayer held its spark. But as centuries passed, people began to forget its true meaning. They saw the flame as power, rather than wisdom to share. Some believed it was strength to command, others thought it conquest. Athena grieved, for the flame was never meant to dominate. Still, she did not withdraw, for her vow was unbroken. She wandered beneath stars, reminding mortals through quiet gestures. A dream here, a vision there, a sudden spark of clarity. The eternal flame whispered through poets, philosophers, and wandering seekers. Those who listened felt a warmth deep in their souls. They understood the flame was not outside, but within them. Athena's spear only mirrored the light they already carried. Her greatest gift was to awaken what was already eternal. And so the story of the flame passed from age to age. It lived not in temples of stone, but in human spirit. Every time kindness bloomed, the flame burned brighter. Every time wisdom prevailed, the spear glowed again in silence. And though centuries changed, Athena remained, walking unseen, still carrying the flame, still guarding its promise across eternity. The first city that welcomed her stood by the edge of a silver sea. Its walls were high, its streets narrow, filled with voices and dreams. But fear lived there too, whispered through shadows of doubt and greed. People struggled for power, forgetting the harmony that bound them once. Athena descended quietly, her steps light as the wind in olives. She did not arrive as thunder nor as storm, but as calm. At the heart of the city, she raised the spear of flame. Its glow spread like sunrise, painting walls, towers, and faces in gold. The people gathered, their murmurs fading into awe and still silence. Children clutched their parents, sensing warmth that words could not explain. Elders bowed their heads, remembering stories of a goddess of wisdom. The flame shimmered not with heat, but with clarity, soothing restless hearts. It reached into them, reminding each soul of their shared humanity. Rivalries softened, arguments paused, and eyes met with newfound kindness. In the city's central square, Athena spoke without voice, only presence. Her message was carried in light, not in sound or command. The flame taught them that true strength was not in conquest. It lived in unity, compassion, and the courage to walk together. The people lit torches from her spear, carrying its fire homeward. Each house became a sanctuary, each street lined with gentle glow. The city transformed not by walls, but by the warmth inside hearts. They named the temple at its center, the House of the Flame. Here the eternal light burned, not for gods, but for all. It was tended not by priests alone, but by mothers, fathers, children. Every hand that touched it felt peace and clarity return. Festivals were born where music and laughter joined under its glow. No blood was spilled, no blade raised, only dance and song. Travelers from distant lands came to see the mysterious fire. They carried its story back, planting seeds of wonder across horizons. Athena watched silently, her spear resting by her side. She saw the city breathe with harmony, like a single living heart. Yet she knew the flame was not permanent in stone or wood. Its temple could crumble, its torches could fade, but the truth endured. The flame was never meant to dwell only in sacred places. It was meant to live in people, carried in their daily lives. As long as kindness walked their streets, the city would not fall. She smiled, unseen among them, her light flickering like dawn mist. And when the night deepened, she rose and walked beyond the gates. The flame remained behind, steady in its quiet, eternal glow. Athena continued her path, carrying the light toward the next horizon. For the spear of flame was never bound to one city alone. It was a promise to all, across oceans, valleys, and endless time. The flame burned brightly in the city, but time is a patient shadow. As seasons passed, whispers of doubt crept quietly into human hearts. People began to wonder if the flame was truly a gift. Some claimed it was a sign of power, not of wisdom. Others argued it was a trick, a light with hidden cost. The temple still glowed, but the meaning slowly began to fade. Festivals turned louder, filled with pride rather than gentle gratitude. Songs praised the fire's strength, but forgot its spirit of compassion. Athena watched silently, her eyes filled with both sorrow and resolve. She knew that doubt was a natural trial in every human age. The eternal flame was never meant to be worshipped blindly. It was meant to awaken truth, even through questions and uncertainty. So she walked once more among the people, unseen in form. At night, she entered their dreams, whispering wisdom in quiet tones. A merchant dreamed of her flame guiding him to fairness in trade. A young woman saw the spear's light and found courage to forgive. A child dreamed of stars, each one carrying the goddess's gentle fire. Through dreams and visions, Athena reminded them of their forgotten strength. Yet not all hearts welcomed the light with gratitude or peace. Some resisted, clinging to greed, fear, and the comfort of falsehood. The flame flickered, dimming where distrust grew like roots in stone. Still Athena did not withdraw, for she knew flame is patient. Even in darkness, a single spark can awaken 1,000 more. She placed her spear upon the earth, its glow reaching outward. In that moment, the city fell silent, listening without knowing why. The flame pulsed gently, not as command, but as invitation to remember. And some did. An elder knelt and spoke of unity once taught long ago. A poet rose and sang of truth, his voice carrying through the streets. A mother gathered her children, telling them the fire was for all. Slowly, the flame regained its meaning, not by force, but choice. Athena knew this was the true trial of doubt and shadow. The flame could not shine if people looked only to its power. It lived only when hearts chose to see wisdom beyond fear. The goddess lifted her spear, the fire steady once more. She left the city not in triumph, but in quiet hope. For the flame would rise and fall, dim and blaze again. It was eternal because humanity itself was always learning, always searching. Athena walked onward, her flame still alive, still waiting for those who listened. In a quiet town beyond the mountains lived a young philosopher of restless spirit. He questioned the stars, the seasons, the nature of truth itself. His nights were filled with study, yet answers always slipped away. One evening he wandered beneath an olive tree, weary and uncertain. There, in the hush of twilight, a gentle glow began to rise. Athena appeared, not with thunder or command, but with quiet grace. Her spear of flame shimmered softly, casting light across the roots. The philosopher trembled, though no fear lived in his heart. She spoke not with words, but with silence filled by presence. The flame itself seemed to shape thoughts within his searching mind. He asked her, "What is wisdom, if it cannot end doubt?" The flame flickered, and he understood wisdom was not an end. It was the courage to question, to learn, to seek continually. Truth was not a stone, but a river flowing through time. Athena smiled, her light brushing gently against his weary soul. For days he returned beneath the olive tree, waiting for her. Each night the flame revealed new lessons hidden in simplicity. She showed him the power of compassion, stronger than argument. She showed him that knowledge without kindness became an empty shell. Through her presence, he learned that wisdom was meant to be shared. The philosopher began teaching not with pride, but with humility. He gathered children, travelers, farmers, and told them gentle truths. His words carried the warmth of the flame that guided him. People listened, not because of grandeur, but because of sincerity. Athena's spear glowed brighter each time kindness shaped his teaching. The young man grew into a teacher remembered for generations. Yet he never claimed the light as his own possession. He always said, "The flame is older than me, older than all." His students carried that message, weaving it into their lives. Some became poets, others healers, some simple workers of the land. But each bore a spark of the eternal flame within them. Athena watched quietly, her presence unseen but always near. The olive tree stood as witness to their nightly conversations. Its branches whispered when the wind passed, carrying fragments of wisdom. Though time changed and seasons passed, the lessons endured. Athena knew then that the flame did not only belong to her spear, it lived in minds and hearts that chose to listen deeply. The young philosopher's journey became proof of the flame's purpose. It was not to end doubt, but to guide through it. Not to silence questions, but to awaken truth in every soul. When the man grew old, he still sat beneath the tree. He felt her presence, though her form no longer appeared. Her flame was within him now, steady, unbroken, eternal. And as his last breath faded, the olive leaves shivered softly. For Athena had given not answers, but the gift of wisdom itself. The sea stretched endlessly, a mirror of stars and shifting winds. Sailors braved its waves, guided only by memory and fragile hope. Storms struck without warning, swallowing ships in darkness and roaring tides. Yet in the hearts of sailors lived a story of a flame. They spoke of Athena, who carried a spear of light eternal. Her fire was said to shine across waters when hope grew dim. It was not a tale of fear, but one of gentle guidance. For sailors knew the sea listened to those who carried courage. One night, as clouds devoured the moon, A fleet drifted lost. Winds howled, stars vanished, and fear took root in weary hearts. Then, through the veil of storm, a glow appeared far ahead. It was not lightning nor torch, but a steady golden flame. Athena stood upon the waves, her spear alight against the dark. Her presence brought silence. Even the ocean hushed to stillness. The sailors gazed, hearts rising as if dawn had returned early. The flame stretched like a path across the restless black waters. Each ship turned, following the glowing trail without hesitation or fear. The storm eased, waves softened, and stars emerged through torn clouds. When they reached safe shores, Athena had vanished into the horizon. Yet her flame lingered in memory, guiding them long after. The sailors built shrines of wood and stone along their coasts, not temples of power, but markers of gratitude for safe return. Fishermen left offerings of shells, sailors whispered prayers for journeys. The flame became a star in their songs, sung over crashing surf. Athena's presence was never bound to one land or one sea. Her spear shone wherever hearts called out with trust and longing. In distant islands, mothers told children of the goddess of flame. They said her light lived in lanterns hung on boats at night. Every flickering candle at sea became a piece of her gift. Athena wandered across oceans, watching sails rise and fall like breaths. Her flame did not command the sea, it calmed the fear within. For she knew courage was not the absence of danger, but endurance. Generations of sailors carried her story like a compass of spirit. They did not always see her, yet they felt her flame. And when storms swallowed stars, they trusted the light would return. For the eternal flame was not just above waves, but within them. Athena's journey across the seas was not conquest, but connection. Her fire was a promise carried from shore to shore, heart to heart. It was the bond between humanity and the vast, uncertain waters. And as long as ships sailed, her flame would guide their way. In the heart of a desert, sand stretched farther than sight could reach. Travelers crossed under a burning sun, their footsteps swallowed by silence. The desert was vast, unforgiving, and held mysteries of forgotten ages. Among the wanderers walked a caravan, led by a wise elder. He carried stories in his heart, older than the dunes themselves. But even wisdom faltered when thirst and heat pressed without mercy. One night, as the sky turned silver with 1,000 distant stars, the caravan gathered around a small fire, their spirits weary and thin. They spoke of an old legend, the goddess who carried eternal flame, a goddess who could light the way through the endless shifting sands. As the fire dimmed, a glow shimmered on the horizon of night. It was steady, warm, not born of wood nor fading sparks. Athena appeared, her flame spear burning softly against the desert winds. She did not command, but walked before them, her steps calm. The sand seemed to yield beneath her, forming a path of light. The caravan followed, hearts lifted, feet steady in the cool glow. Every dune that once seemed endless became smaller, easier to climb. Athena's flame did not quench thirst, but it gave courage to endure. Her presence turned despair into quiet faith that dawn would arrive. By morning, they reached an oasis hidden among palms and stone. Water sparkled, and life bloomed where none had expected to find it. The travelers wept with gratitude, though Athena had vanished with the dawn. Yet her flame lingered, not in sight, but within their renewed strength. The elder gathered the caravan and spoke with a steady voice. The flame does not always guide us to water or shelter. It guides us to endure until we find what we seek ourselves. The caravan rested, and songs rose beneath the shade of palms. They sang not of conquest, but of a flame that gave hope. Generations later, wanderers still told of the goddess in the sands. They said her spear was a torch that lit the way at night. Nomads carried lanterns as symbols of her flame across the desert. Each flicker of fire became more than warmth, it was memory. Athena's gift was not survival itself, but the will to continue. For the desert tested not only the body, but the spirit's endurance. Those who followed her path found courage greater than their thirst. Her flame became a legend woven into stars above the dunes. When travelers gazed upward, they saw constellations shaped like her spear. It was as if Athena had written hope across the heavens. So even when the sands shifted and trails were erased by wind, the eternal flame remained a compass, a light unbound by time. And the desert, once feared, became a place where faith was born. For in silence and struggle, Athena's flame still walked beside them. In a forest where shadows stretched tall, silence ruled beneath green canopies. Birdsong faded at dusk, leaving only whispers of leaves in the air. The people of nearby villages feared the woods after twilight's fall. They spoke of strange lights, of spirits drifting among the trees unseen. Children were warned never to wander when night cloaked the forest path. Yet some whispered that the light belonged not to ghosts, but a goddess. One evening, a child lost his way chasing fireflies near the stream. Darkness swallowed the trails, and his small voice trembled in the night. Fear pressed around him, each branch creaking like a giant's breath. Then, through the veil of trees, a soft golden glow appeared. It flickered not like fireflies, but steady, calm and warm. Athena stood among the roots, her flame spear casting gentle light. Her eyes held kindness, her presence quieting the fear in the boy. She knelt, the glow wrapping around him like a blanket of dawn. Without words, she showed the way, and the path lit beneath their steps. The child followed, comforted by warmth stronger than any hearth. Soon the forest opened, revealing the village lights flickering in relief. The boy turned, but Athena had vanished back into the trees. Yet the glow of her flame lingered, etched forever in his memory. When he told his tale, the villagers listened with awe and doubt. But his eyes carried a truth no fear could erase. From then, the forest was no longer seen as only shadow. Some entered with lanterns, singing songs of gratitude to the flame. They discovered springs, healing herbs, and paths once hidden by dread. Athena's presence had transformed fear into reverence, shadow into sanctuary. The villagers built a circle of stones deep in the forest heart. There they lit fires each solstice, honoring the eternal flame of guidance. Generations passed, and children grew up knowing the forest as a friend. Stories of the boy and the goddess spread beyond the green valley. Travelers came seeking the circle, lighting candles in quiet prayer. Each flame carried a promise that no path was truly lost. For Athena's spear was not a weapon, but a lantern for wanderers. She walked wherever fear threatened to blind hearts to hidden beauty. Her gift was not to banish night, but to bring courage within it. The forest thrived, its whispers no longer warnings, but lullabies of leaves. Athena's flame burned in every lantern, in every child's fearless step. And in the silence of night, some still glimpsed her glow. A goddess who turned the unknown into a place of wonder and trust. For where shadows once ruled, her eternal flame had found a home. High in the mountains, where peaks kissed the sky, a village clung to stone. Its people lived close to the clouds, enduring storms and bitter winds. Snow covered their roofs, and silence often stretched through the valleys. Yet their hearts were strong, shaped by the mountain's trials and beauty. Still, winters grew harsh, and darkness lingered longer than the light. The villagers feared the cold, for firewood and food dwindled quickly. One evening, as a blizzard roared, the villagers gathered in despair. The storm howled like a beast, tearing through shutters and fragile walls. Children huddled close, eyes wide with fear and hunger's weight. The elder whispered prayers, asking for guidance in the frozen night. Through the white storm, a warm golden light began to glow. Athena appeared on the ridge, her flame spear bright against the snow. Her light cut through the storm like dawn, breaking the endless dark. The villagers watched from their windows, hope sparking in their eyes. She descended the slope, each step melting snow into glistening streams. The flame spread warmth, not scorching, but gentle as springtime's breath. Athena entered the village, her presence calm and steady like fire. She touched the hearths, and flames returned brighter than before. Each home glowed with warmth, chasing away shadows and bitter frost. The people gathered in the square, their hearts lifted with awe. Athena raised her spear, its flame steady against the icy wind. She did not speak, but the warmth of her presence gave courage. The villagers sang, voices rising like smoke into the winter sky. Their song carried gratitude, woven with the light of the flame. That night, no one shivered. No one feared the endless storm. By dawn, the blizzard passed, leaving the valley dressed in silver calm. Athena had vanished, but her warmth lingered in the stones and walls. From then, each winter, the villagers lit a great fire in her honor. They called it the Festival of Flame, a beacon in the snow. Generations danced around the fire, singing songs of the goddess. Children learned that warmth was more than firewood. It was unity. The flame reminded them that light could live in every heart. Even in the harshest season, hope burned against the cold silence. Athena's gift was not endless spring, but strength to endure winter. Her flame taught them that together, they could survive any storm. Travelers came from distant valleys to witness the fire festival. They carried the story home, spreading the legend of Athena's flame. In time, her light became a symbol for all who faced hardship. It was the promise that no night, no winter, lasted forever. Her eternal spear did not just burn in the mountain snows. It blazed quietly in every heart that chose to hold on. And so, the mountains sang of her flame for generations untold. In the heart of a bustling city, towers of stone touched the clouds. Markets overflowed with voices, each street alive with endless movement. People hurried, their days filled with trade, work, and restless dreams. Yet amid the noise, many hearts carried a quiet emptiness. The city shone with wealth, but its people longed for meaning. They sought wisdom in books, power in gold, comfort in fleeting joys. One evening, as the sun set behind rooftops, the streets fell still. A warm glow spread across the central square, soft yet unyielding. Athena appeared, her flame spear gleaming against the fading day. Her presence silenced the crowds, every voice hushed into wonder. She stood not above them, but among them, her light shared. The flame stretched across the square, touching walls and open windows. Children stepped forward first, their eyes wide with awe and hope. Athena's gaze fell upon them, her flame gentle as a guiding star. She knelt, her spear casting light like a lamp in their hands. Suddenly the children laughed, their joy ringing louder than the market. The crowd followed, gathering around her as night embraced the city. Athena raised her spear high, the flame rising without smoke or ash. It shimmered like truth itself, steady clear and boundless in reach. She gave no command, spoke no decree, but hearts understood. The flame was not hers to keep, but theirs to carry. Every lantern in the city was lit brighter that night. Each home glowed not with fire alone, but with unity. Neighbors shared food, strangers opened doors, kindness spread like light. The city transformed not through walls or towers, but through hearts. Athena watched silently, her flame mirrored in every smiling face. For wisdom was not hidden in scrolls or treasures of kings. It was alive in compassion, in justice, in the bonds of people. As dawn came, Athena vanished, her light fading into the sun. But the city remembered, keeping her flame alive in daily life. They built no grand temple, but placed lanterns at every crossroad. Each flame a reminder that no one walked their path alone. Generations later, the city thrived not by riches, but by harmony. Travelers marveled at its warmth, a place where kindness shaped power. They asked how such unity endured, and the people smiled. They told of the goddess with the eternal flame spear. Her gift was not in ruling, but in lighting the way within. Athena's flame became a living part of their streets, their lives. It was seen in laughter, in help given freely, in shared hope. And so the city grew, its strength not stone but spirit. The eternal flame burned quietly, a bond unbroken by time. Athena had left her mark, not as conqueror, but as guide. Her light lived on, proof that wisdom and love could build eternity. The story of Athena's eternal flame did not end with one city. It spread like dawn, traveling on the lips of merchants and travelers. Songs were written, telling of the goddess who carried a glowing spear. Her flame was not a fire of destruction, but of renewal and hope. Villages far away lit lanterns, saying they carried the light of wisdom. Families taught their children that knowledge and kindness were true treasures. Scribes copied the tale into scrolls, so the story would not fade. Each generation added their voice, keeping the flame alive through memory. Athena herself did not return, yet her presence was felt everywhere. It lived in the choices people made, quiet but powerful as breath. In times of conflict, they looked to her story for calm and balance. In moments of despair, her flame guided them back to the path. The eternal spear became more than a symbol. It became a promise that light, once shared, would never truly disappear. The flame did not belong to one temple, city, or time. It belonged to all who believed in wisdom and compassion. Even the stars seemed to echo her story, shining above endless nights. Poets called her flame a mirror of the constellations, steady and timeless. Sailors guided their journeys by starlight, whispering Athena's name for courage. Farmers left small lanterns in their fields, asking for balance and peace. Everywhere, her gift wove itself into daily life like an invisible thread. And so the tale was not one of battle, but of quiet strength, not of conquest, but of harmony shared among countless hearts. The eternal flame did not burn to command, but to remind. It reminded humanity of the power hidden in unity and love. Athena's legacy was not carved in stone or built in marble. It was alive in the way people treated each other with care, in laughter shared, in hands reaching out, in voices choosing kindness. Through centuries, her flame never dimmed, because it was never hers alone. It had always been a light, meant to be carried by many. And so the story ends, not with silence, but with continuation. For every time someone chooses compassion over cruelty, the flame glows. Every time wisdom guides action, Athena's spear shines again. The eternal spear flame goddess remains, not in temples, but in hearts. She is there in every dawn, every spark of hope, every shared smile. Her flame burns still, across lands, across ages, across endless skies. A light eternal, unbroken, guiding humanity toward wisdom and love. And though the goddess walks unseen, her presence can always be felt. In every flame lit, not to destroy, but to guide the way. Thus the story lives on, carried by voices, carried by time. A story that belongs to all, a flame that will never die. Athena, the eternal spear flame goddess, walks forever in the light of humanity.